I'd like to believe we should be the best people we can be. I'm hard-pressed to believe that killing people is the best we can do.
My name is David Schechter. I'm a veteran reporter, and now I work for you. I'm taking real people out on the road to get their questions answered, and you're coming along for the ride. This is Verify Road Trip.
The death penalty is always a controversial topic. Lots of us know exactly how we feel about it, but do we know why we think that way?
I've always found law enforcement, criminal justice, forensics, true crime, all of that very fascinating.
When we asked for people who strongly support the death penalty, Charmin Anselm volunteered. She's a mother, a grandmother, and she works at the phone company.
Because I don't think if you're a pedophile and you've murdered a child, I don't think you should have that right to live.
Charmin is rock solid in favor of the death penalty.
You didn't have to kill those people.
So I'm going to expose her to people who oppose it, and she's going to explore this question. Do we need the death penalty? Charmin and I are headed to Huntsville, where Texas executes its death row inmates, and where 43-year-old Terry Edwards is scheduled to die by lethal injection. Edwards was convicted of robbing a Subway sandwich shop in 2002, murdering 2 employees.
This is like about as solemn of a thing that you can go to, I would think.
Kind of like a funeral.
I asked the state if Charmin could witness Edwards' execution. They said no, because she's not a journalist. So I'll be witnessing it for her.
Governor Abbott supports God and murder.
A small group of protesters gathered, including Pat Hartwell, who's a longtime opponent of the death penalty.
To watch someone die is an experience that you never want to have in your life.
When you say we shouldn't murder these people, but they've murdered. You know, we don't play God, but they play God. So I'm just saying, how do you use that argument for these people when this is what they've done?
Do we accomplish anything by killing Terry tonight? What is going to be accomplished?
Well, you tell me what you believe is being accomplished.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Pat says watching an execution is enough to change anyone's mind.
It floored me to watch a perfectly healthy person have the life sucked out of them. It affected me so much.
I'm gonna go in.
Go.
I'll see you after.
Thanks.
As I head in to witness the execution, day turns to night. We'll return here in a moment, but first we want to learn about the legal system that sends inmates to death row. Rick Halprin is a professor at Southern Methodist University and an internationally recognized opponent of the death penalty. He says when it comes to capital punishment, if you're poor, the legal system is broken.
It is the have-nots of our society. They're the easiest group of people not to like and to care even less about because most of them have done these terrible things.
This is what death row looks like. The largest group are African American at 44%. 65% report having less than a high school education, and almost all are poor. Halprin says these are the kinds of people least equipped to defend themselves.
A system that's flawed, and you won't ever have a perfect system, when are they punished enough?
I can't sit here and tell you I have the answer to that question. I just don't think we should be in the business of killing people, especially when the system is so flawed.
You're not alone.
Back in Huntsville, the witnesses, including me, are led into the death chamber, where no cameras are allowed. Charmin is talking to protesters like Yancy Balderas. Her husband is actually on death row. She wasn't happy with her husband's court-appointed attorney.
I went to go talk to a private attorney. He says just to start, he needed $60,000 up front. Where are we gonna get that money from?
the bell rings 14 times, once for every year Edwards was on death row.
That's it.
He starts making this heavy breathing sound and kind of starts snoring for like 45 seconds.
Because it was the medicines had been started or whatever.
And then that was it.
How did it affect you, witnessing an execution?
The big sentiment that I walked out of there with was the government has a lot of power to take a life. And that is a power that I didn't really thought a lot about the government having, like they could take a life.
We're on the way to Houston, and we're meeting with Anthony Graves. He spent almost 19 years on death row for a crime he didn't commit. To him, being exonerated does not mean the system is working.
You stole 18 and a half years of my life. You tried to murder me for something I knew absolutely nothing about. You damaged me. And now you say it's okay?
Some of these crimes are pretty heinous. So where do we go with the punishment fitting the crime?
We have what the courts call life without parole. It's a death sentence.
I mean, it's
You
pretty
got
much the same
two
thing.
death sentences. You got one where they're gonna pump poison in your vein, and you got one where you're gonna die of natural causes. So if both of them are death sentences, why do we have to stoop so low to treat people like animals, kill them like pigs, and put poison in their veins, where we can take the high road as a society and let them die of natural causes?
Life without the possibility of parole, what Anthony favors, is now a sentencing option for juries in every state but Alaska. Experts say it's one reason why the number of death sentences in America has plummeted 84% in the last 20 years. For Anthony, life without parole means you never execute an innocent man.
When you execute him and he's innocent, you can't bring him back and say, I'm sorry.
We're back in Huntsville now, and Sharman, who started this trip believing in the death penalty, has now heard the case against it.
It's been very enlightening, and I can understand where both sides come from.
Is it possible that you want the death penalty more than we need the death penalty?
I believe that if
Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel like justice was done? That's wanting it.
depending on the case, I sure do.
But needing it, does society need it?
I mean, need it.
Well, that's the question. Do we need the death penalty?
I mean, I think it's a good thing to have. I mean,
I want you to answer the question.
Oh, God, David.
I'm just making an important distinction, I think. Do we all need this? You want it. Does everybody in this world need it?
I believe it's needed. I believe it's needed in our society, in our justice system.
Why?
Used the correct way, done the right way, you need to be held to a higher punishment for the higher crimes.
For Sharman, it still comes down to this. The most horrific crimes deserve the ultimate punishment. But don't take my word for it. Take hers.